Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Fireball edition of Bass and Bombs I Like. Yeah. So, nobody's jumped on yet, but I just fired it up and got it going. If you're, as you join in, or if you're watching this days on later down the road, everything as of right now that I'm going to talk about is at Rogers Sporting Goods on sale. I'll be talking about a lot of other stuff tonight, but they're clearing out a lot of their stuff, and they've got a whole back aisle just full of stuff that's 50% off. From these handles I'm getting ready to show you, a lot of soft plastic baits, some hard baits like the red eye shad. Not everything now. They're not doing away with the red eye shad. They're just, I think, clearing out some of the colors that didn't sell as well for the new colors, and all the new stuff that'll be coming in this spring. So anyway, today's date is January 17th, 2025, and I'm guessing that clearance stuff, if it's like anything else they put back there, it'll stay back in that whole aisle is like clearance stuff, and it'll sit there until all of it sells. So you can always call Rogers Sporting Goods on the phone if you see something I talk about, show, and see if they have it and if it's on sale. And I will talk about some of the rods. Their rods are a lot of different stuff are on sale also, but they're not in the clearance. They're just still on the rack, but the prices are half. So we're going to talk about all that in tonight's video. But first, let's talk about what I already picked up that was on clearance. If you guys remember right, I picked up this. They were selling it for, it was either $3 or $3.50. I can't even remember now. My memory's getting bad, but luckily I can still remember how to fish. So that's the main thing, right? But we picked up the Elite TI, and very good reel. I don't like it on the rod I bought it with. I bought the reel, and I didn't want to spend because the rods weren't on sale. They're like $3.49 normally, and they weren't any cheaper. So I was like, well, let me get the $100 and whatever rod, and so I did that. But, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Where the reel seat, where it fits on, it doesn't let this reel palm real well. This reel palms excellent on the Mega Bass rods, and actually it palms up pretty good on everything other than the loose certain reel seat type that I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about also. But first, let's get to the unboxing, and we'll talk about the baits that I did see on the back wall, and then we'll talk about some of the rods I saw, and then a few rods that are new, I guess freshly out. I don't remember seeing them there last year anyway, and stuff like that. So right off the bat, since we're talking about this reel, if you guys remember right, I bought that. Well, I didn't buy that. I messaged Luz, got hold of the Crazy Luz lady, and she sent me that handle assembly, and it's on the Steez. I had it on the Zillion. I've had it on a few other ones. And on this Steez with on the Super Destroyer, it just works and goes real good. But it is a 95 millimeter handle assembly, and it is the exact one that comes on the Elite TI. So since I found these on sale, I'm going to try them, but I don't know if I can go back to just an 80 millimeter. Now I got a few. I think most of these are 85 now. I have some BFS that are 80. The other reel that when I was up at Rogers, if you guys remember right, I picked up the MG Extreme 2, which that's an 80 millimeter carbon fiber handle. So I kind of have advanced to the point where now I kind of like the longer ones, but I don't know about 95. And I did measure this one because I've been doing all these live streams. I keep talking about having this, that I finally found it. It was sitting on top of the refrigerator. This is not the most accurate one in the world. It's like $3.50 off AliExpress, something like that. It was dirt cheap. But just for getting a rough idea, and so I checked it. This is a 100 millimeter handle assembly, and I have the 88 millimeter coming. So I kind of am to the point now to where, unless it's BFS, I kind of went away from the single lifestyle. I still have a few floating around. Like I actually still have this guy right here that was originally off the, I think it was the T3 Air is what this handle assembly came off of. I cut it down, single lifestyled it. The sweet spots, though, I think the Steez comes with 85. The Zillions, I believe, come with 90. Let's just check them. This will get you close. And when you're measuring the handle, if you want to know what yours is, you measure the inside of the middle of the post, basically. So yeah, 89.9. So yeah, that is a 90 millimeters, how they measure that. And you got to be careful. If you're ever buying them off AliExpress, now you can also measure the inside of the, what you call it here, from either side, if it doesn't have the screw in it. So yeah, roughly 80 millimeter. You'll go to look on AliExpress, and you got to make sure if there's a diagram showing you where they measure, because a lot of times they measure out here. And a lot of them will come and they'll say 100, or, and this one is actually, I think this one is 90. Yeah, this is another 90. So if you're wondering what you have and you want to measure, you measure the inside deal, which that's 90. I believe this one is longer. Yeah, so this one is 95. Roughly, but a lot of measurements they take, if you're not paying attention, will say, like if it says 105, it could be a 95. A lot of times it adds almost 10 millimeters if they measure the outside to the outside, not the actual. So just for those of you that are in the know. And this handle assembly, I'm trying to figure out where, I think this came off the 7-to-1 Steez Limited, not the shallow spool, but I was getting weird measurements off it. I know, I'm talking about, I'm doing an unboxing, or the haul we got, but I'm on handle stuff now. But you guys, if you're familiar with the show, you know the deal. So I think this is an 88. If you guys see that, it's definitely, it's not 85. Because 85, it's longer than that, and it's not 90. So I think that is like an 88. And I'm pretty sure our Steez shallow spools are, yeah, they're 85. So for some reason, this one is a little bit longer. Which is kind of weird. I didn't realize that. So anyway, I'd seen these when they first got them in. I think they even used to be more, because there's another sticker under it. I want to say when these first come in, they were crazy expensive up at Rogers 40 Goods. I don't know if they ever sold any, because I bought two for 22 bucks each. I'm like, I'll buy them if I like it, with these knobs on it, and I'll put it on the Steez first and see if I want to leave that alone, or I may even try it out on the TI or whatever. Then that's all I really need, unless I were to get more of these wind grips, because the Abu Garcia, Luz, and I think they're about the only two brands. They're different. You can change out the whole handle assembly and put these on your Daiwa. You can actually even put them on the Shimano's, if you remember right. You got to get those little, I don't know if I got any laying around. You get the little shim things that fit in. I've got them somewhere, but I don't know where. But we'll let you put different, so you can go that way. You can't take a Shimano if this is smaller and then put it on Daiwa or Abu. And almost all of them on the market nowadays are probably going to be that it's a 8 by 5 millimeter, not 7 by 4. But there's a little like millimeter shim thing you can get to put almost every other handle assembly that's not that small onto Shimano's, but you can't take a stock Shimano and then go the other way unless you want. You could, you'd have to take it, you'd have to like drill it out yourself and all that kind of crap. So if the only way to get these kind of knobs, even if you found a deal or you find they make the bigger wind grip knobs, you would have to find a aftermarket, some kind of other handle to then put them on your Daiwa or your there's several other reels that have that style. A lot of the AliExpress stuff is like that. Brew Tank, what's up? Yeah, Fireball Friday. You guys knew it was coming, and now it's here. So anyway, for $22 a piece, they had like 20, maybe more. I almost bought every one of them. And I was like, I'll try to sell them, not really to make a profit, maybe to make a touch of a profit. But if you guys want those, if you have a use for an 80 millimeter that takes Abu knobs, $22 is pretty cheap. And I'm sure you can call them up and say, yeah, tell them who sent you Bass Bonsai. They'll help me out. Not on any money, but then when I do go up there and try to make a deal with them here or there, they'll be like, oh, yeah, you're sending us customers. We appreciate it. So I don't know if I'll get to it tonight since it's Fireball Friday. I may not be able to see straight enough to get those switched out and try them. But I'm going to try it on one, and if I really like it, I may do the other one. And if I don't, if 80 millimeters for this big of a knob just seems too tight, which it probably won't. It shouldn't, I don't think. But let's look at whatever the rest of what I got. Let's see. Okay, now I just bought one of these, and I almost bought all they had because the Guggen baits, they had probably 6 to 10 more packs of these. The Saucy Swimmers 3.3 in the Magic Shad. And I don't know if I got any of these left, but I know I had this color, and I was doing pretty good on it. So for $6, that's pretty cheap per bait. That is under 50 cents a piece. And these do smell. I remember these I thought I liked. I had these and the Rage Swimmers from Strike King. And I want to say that color. And they've got bigger. They have several different sizes of swim baits. This color, they had the bigger, I want to say it was either 3/8 or 4/34s, 4/8 maybe. Less baits, but way bigger. These are what I like running on. You can run them by themselves for like just on the edge of that BFS or finesse, or you can run them on the back of your, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, stuff like that. That 3.5 inch is kind of that somewhere right in there, but I definitely like that. I just got one pack for now. I was like, I'm just getting one. I'm gonna go home and compare, and I'm gonna try to. What I'm gonna do is try to pull out the other colors, see what all I do have. I may not need any more of those whatsoever, but if I do, I'll just go back up there and get some. Now they had, and I almost bought all of that. They had this color, which I knew and I know I will use. They had some of the baby, or Rage Baby Menace on sale too. So at originally $6 for a pack, which I've been buying them. I'm like, this color right here, I know I use black blue swirl. So I bought 2 packs of that because any kind of black or black and blue. And sapphire blue is the one I really use, along with the white, and then if you remember right, the purple and gold fleck. But they also had that, which I haven't had the luck with it, the hard candy or whatever. They had like 8 packs of those. I couldn't make myself buy them because I still have over half a pack of the hard candy from trying it with the purple and gold, and it just didn't get bit like the purple and gold did. So I don't know if I'm going to buy any more of those, but they're up at Rogers. I'm debating on going up tomorrow and actually spend a little more money. So then I've got like 4 or 5, $2 baits coming from AliExpress, different type of lipless or rattle traps, but they're half ounce. Like, I don't think I can find actual 3/4 ounce baits on AliExpress. So they had the red eye shads. Now this is a half ounce, but that color looks pretty good to me. They had those clearance, some colors, certain ones, some colors clearanced out. But that color looks like it should just catch a fish in a half ounce. And from 650 to 3 something, it's not much more than even the rattle trap things you can get from AliExpress. So I thought, why wouldn't I not get, and they have a bunch of these in a lot of different colors, a lot of half ounce, but they have a lot of 3/4 too. So in 3/4, $6.99, so $3.50. I got that color, bluegill. I think they have the name neon bluegill. That color should work. I'm trying to make myself, if you remember right, I prefer the Booyah hard knockers, but after, again, repeatedly listening to Kevin Van Dam talk about these red-eye shads, and I've heard several people on different forums over the years of how great red-eye shads are, I'm like, I need to get a few more 3/4 ounce baits, and for that price, that neon bluegill, this color right here, kind of a white, but with that little bit of gold hit to it, I think, what do they call that? Tennessee shad. That should be, if you're going to throw like a white lipless, that should do it. Throw a bluegill on that should do it. And this is called yellow perch, and I just think, basically it's the closest thing they had up there that would sort of resemble a baby bass, in my opinion. So in 3/4 ounce. So I just got those 3 baits. I didn't get a lot. It was still, with the handles, it came up to like $70 or something. But originally, if I'd have just bought 2 of those handles, it would have been $90. So quite a few little baits for not a ton of money. And like I talked about, where are we at here? Hang on. Let me find them. Oh, let me look. So if you guys remember, I kind of went through my rattle traps and I got rid of some of that stuff. And if you look, there's actually, right there is an actual Excalibur that I took out. Right there is one of those Quake, whatever. I'm thinking about pulling that one back out. But I was kind of thinning out the herd so I could make room for some new ones. And I've got a couple LB500, basically the color I like in craw, and then a white one. And that's all I really want to spend. These things are $15 each. And if you guys know, one of the easiest things to lose in the world is a rattle trap. They're notorious for just getting lost. And I got a couple other ones in there. I've got the Booyahs, and you cannot find, you got to search to find a true 3/4 ounce hard knocker. You can still get the 1 knockers or whatever they are in 3/4, but a lot of the Booyah colors aren't available. I don't think this is available anymore in a 3/4, only, maybe not even in a half. They may have done away with that color. They got a few new colors out now, but I think some of the craws look weird. But if you notice, I got a bunch of I only have literally right at the moment, these are 3/4 ounce. They don't really look like it, these LB500s. But I really only have the 3 bigger ones, a couple LB500s. Everything else is half ounce, and I don't have a bunch of any of them. I got a couple half ounce of the red-eye shads. What is this one? Is that a red-eye shad too? No, that's the half ounce in the Booyah. And then I've got, you can't get this, the oyster, you can't get it in a 3/4 ounce either, which I would have liked to have gotten. And then, of course, I was just rewatching a video. I wanted to talk about that briefly too. There's the actual Excalibur, but a 1-knot thing that I picked up a long time ago, and I had Norm Coulter paint it a long time ago, and I fished the crap out of it. I did glue the eye back in. In the video, it only had 1 eye. So yeah, I don't need a ton. I don't throw, like, rattle trap. You guys know me, I'm chatterbait, right? So I don't need a ton, but I felt I do need some more big ones because I like the 3/4 over a half most of the time. If I've resorted to rattle traps, it's usually I'm either in search mode, covering water kind of thing, but I found that just I don't know. I feel I still have better luck throwing 3/4 over half. So that's why I picked up a few of those. Try the red eye shads, and if I just, I guess, talk myself completely in or out of them, I won't have spent too much money since they're like, you know, they're just literally $1 more than the cheap ones you get from AliExpress anyway. So for that price, they're like they've more or less came from to where, which one of these? I think this guy here is a true hard knocker. That guy's not. That guy's not. So actually, I do have one, and it's in my day box. I've got one true Toledo Gold hard knocker. You can still get those. I don't think you can get this anymore. These are kind of my don't just throw them anytime, anywhere, because I don't want to lose them, and I hate being like that. So I want to try to find and make myself have the confidence that I do in these in something else that I have no issues with going and buying. Because as of right now, these colors are still available. They're just Rogers is clearing out their. I guess they felt those colors didn't sell that good, but who knows? And I think, did I save one? This may be the kind of bait. I've got a bunch more coming in that, like 4 or 5 colors. I think in maybe that size. Just so I'll have some smaller ones, and then I need to, then all I really need to get, and these are just the ones like I've talked about. If I'm unfamiliar water, don't know for sure what's going on, I kind of have an idea what color to throw, but don't know what's hitting and what's not, and I don't want to sacrifice the good stuff. We throw the old junk stuff, right? So yeah. So what else was I going to talk about? Hang on, let me take a little shot. Water temp's 42 here, going tomorrow. 42 degrees, good luck. The baits I would take, it depends on where you're going, but I would take this color, but definitely if you've got like deep, if you go into deep water, you can find them where they're staging up in deep water somewhere. These 3 right here is what Charles and I, if you guys go back and watch that, where you like let it sink and then pop it up like you would. Now, if you have them or you like fishing the blade baits, but this is where I like using these in that deep water. Say if you're throwing some sort of jig or and hang on, I'll get my other box out. If you're trying to slow down, you're throwing soft plastics, you're throwing, you know, some kind of jig or something, and you're going out shaky heading it, or just trying to fish slow because the water's real cold. Sometimes that erratic stuff will work. So hang on, let me put that up. I'm gonna put it over here for now. Let me get my day box out. Let's talk. Let's just well, let's just set it here. Let's just bury everything. If I was going out in 42-degree water temps, I would not be throwing a buzz bait, I don't think. There's a certain time when that water starts cooling off, but it's not 42 degrees. But so this is still my favorite rattle trap period to date. Cold water, warm water, jerking it up and down, fishing it fast, going slow where you know you're not going to get hung up. 3/4 ounce Booyah Hard Knocker in Toledo Gold. Next one would be like that white one I showed you, but the LV500, I would almost have to agree, maybe even beats this when you're doing that jigging it up and down thing. But in this cold water, this thing's not going to work really anywhere other than finding any, you know, drop off or holes to where you can tell there's fish staged up, or you think there might be. You want to check them, throw that out there. Make sure you know there's no brush down there. Throw a rattle trap roughly in some crawl. I prefer like red, maybe a touch of orange, but this color I like better than any of them. let it hit the bottom, probably a foot or 2 foot, and a very aggressive. I mean, don't just lift it slow. Give it like a make it flutter, and then give it some slack line and let it just fall back down naturally. And they claim the red eye shad's good for that. So technically, I didn't get the color, but there was one up there. I may go back up and buy it that was close to this. But the red eye shad has a new color, and I'll probably get it in a 2-tap, so it won't be cheap. It won't be $3.50. But according to KVD, he says that even though they say 3/4 ounce or whatever they say, he says that the 2-taps are heavier than the regular red eye shad. So if it was me, I would get the color, and I can't remember the name of the color. There's a new color Strike King has that isn't far from this Toledo Gold, and I would get that in a 2-tap, 3/4 ounce. Also, I need to pick up just to try it, because like I said, I have a funny feeling that these are going to be going to the wayside before long. And it's always a good idea to just have something on the back burner that you have confidence in or whatever. So we're going to try to get confidence back in it. If you remember right, I had a white 3/4 ounce red eye shad that I fished kind of with these other baits, and it was pretty good. But anyway, I just never got the confidence in it in all the times I fished the red eye shads like I've had with the Booyah baits, which are the closest thing you can get to Excaliburs. A lot of guys say they're not Excaliburs, but I'm pretty sure they are Excaliburs rebranded as Booyah Hard Knockers, my opinion. They even used to make the exact same size. They even used to have the 1 ounce one. And I think you can still track down the big monsters, but I found no need to go over 3/4. If I was further down south, maybe I'd look for bigger ones. All right, back to what I would be throwing tomorrow. I wouldn't be throwing this. Actually, if you got BFS, that some kind of jerkbait. But if I had to be throwing a bait tomorrow, I would just try this. 42 degrees. Jerkbaits will work. You've got to... Oh my God, I think this is... I forget this. You guys always say the name of this bait, but this one's a good one. LOG bone. Depending on your water clarity, if you are real clear water, you might want some kind of natural IU, natural shad color without any chartreuse. But Vision 110 or 110 plus 1 junior, and I would fish it very slow. Like 42 degree waters, you're probably going to be counting to 5 or 10 in between one or 2 jerks, and then just count it down. And if you count to 10 and you make it back to the boat with however many stops in between counting to 10 and you didn't get a hit, throw it back out, count to 20. If you know you're around fish. When it's fishing in cold, you almost want to know you're around fish, or you're just going to waste the whole day fishing baits real slow. The other thing I would do, this you don't have to fish real slow, but you sort of have to fish it slow. You're going to jerk it fast, but then you're going to let it set, and you may want to sit there and do that, and when you pull, you're going to reel up your slack, and you're going to pull, so it'll take you, I don't know, maybe 20 to 40 seconds to get out of that strike zone, then reel it back in, and then cast it out and do the same thing, and just check spots like that, deeper spots. You can kind of cast this all around, but then work slow across the tops where you think there might be. But then another way, and it doesn't even really matter what you use. If you're in shallow water, use a little bitty crank. But if you guys remember right, I was in a pond fishing the speed cranking, the burn, 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 pause, burn, 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 pause, like tactical bassing with that. And I just got on a bite like nothing was working, worms, nothing. And I just started speed cranking that little dude and got they were little dinks, but I got them fired up and I was catching like that. But so the crankbait I would use, I don't even think I have any out in this box. In 42 degree water temps would be, let me get it out. And you could do real shallow water if you think there's fish up there. One thing that I've kind of learned that you kind of have to teach yourself. Everybody tell you cold water, deep, slow. But actually, there's a lot of places in fish. And if the sun starts hitting a shallow part of the bank and the wind starts blowing on it, especially little ones, maybe you won't get a monster up there, but you never know. I've caught all kinds of bass. They'll get up real shallow because that becomes the warmest part of the place. And it's like they know that, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, where's my... These guys, we were also kind of doing the speed cranking thing, sort of, with these. And I spotted a new color up there. I need to go buy these firetail baits. Just depending on what depth you're fishing at, or a rock crawler, which is like these. You kind of can speed crank these also. So I wouldn't just throw these and slow reel them. I would throw these out. I would reel them, you know, do the burn, burn, burn pause. Almost like you think of them as like a crank jerk bait. So you know, jerk bait, you do kind of real fast jerks. You may slow a little bit, but actually you still want to be a pretty quick jerk, and then you just stop. And then the pause is what you're waiting on. These are kind of like that with the burn, 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 burn pause. You burn them, pause them, and then burn them and pause them, and then you may want to lengthen that pause just a little bit longer in case something is following it. But we got lost. But anyway, if they got the stuff, if you've got the baits like Tactical Bass and makes their own, or that Mega Bass one, you can get out and do that in deep water, you could do that. But if you can only go so deep and you do have these or rock crawlers and you need to go deeper and you don't have the ability, that's when you want to switch to a worm, shaky head worms, what I recommend. The rattle traps like I talked about, or you could always bounce some other sort of plastic or just a jig. So I like also to just take, and I would probably actually use color, just depends on what water clarity you're dealing with. But if any kind of murky water, I like a couple things, either like that dude, just drag it down slow. You could use, I don't even know if I got any out here, a full size jig, a finesse jig, the football, but I would just kind of slow drag some sort of jig, or I have the most confidence would be in a shaky head worm. Just throw it out where you think they'll be, and then just let it soak. Maybe just shake it and then just let it set. Because if there's a bass down there and you let anything set long enough and just wiggle it and jiggle it a little bit, if he comes up to investigate it, he's probably already, as long as it's something like a shaky head or a good looking jig. Now these aren't the trailers. I would, in this cold of water, I probably wouldn't be using nothing like this. I would actually have probably something like that bait we just got. Probably something with a more tail like that is gonna, not much movement will kind of create some movement in the bait kind of thing. But yeah. Finesse fish with soft plastic bait. Yeah, I talked about it several times. I guess I'm trying to think. I was gonna talk to you guys about something else too, about my least favorite way to fish. I'm trying to think of what I had in my head. Because we all, you know, you have all this top fives and you top this and you top that, but like the least favorite ways to fish, I hate to say it, sometimes are the way to fish. Because one way that everybody and their brother talks about as being a very good way is, there's actually two, and I consider them the same thing. It's just where the bait is to the weight. My least favorite ways to fish are Carolina rig or drop shot, which, you know what I'm saying, the weight's here, and then you got some line out, and then you got your soft plastic out here just dangling. It's more free. So you got like the free, and there's also the free rig. It's kind of a new, the free rig is almost like a very, very short drop shot, in my opinion. It's basically the same thing. So then you got the drop shot where the weight's here, and then in between the weight, you know, the taut line is a hook, and then you got your bait on that. So that one out of the two is really, I kind of, when you're more straight down, you're not really casting long distances out. You got more in touch with what the bait's doing. To where Carolina rig, you just cast it way out, long cast, and you're dragging that kind of like you would a football jig or something. You're dragging the weight, but then that bait's just back there. It gives it more freedom, whatever soft plastic you're using. A lot of guys swear by that, but those are my two like least favorite ways to fish. And the biggest thing is because the baits are all separate. Kind of like my biggest thing would probably be like Alabama rigs. I'm not a huge fan of those. Just the I know they have their place and time and all that, but so shaky, like what I replaced that with would be this basically here, a shaky head worm, and then go to some sort of jig. And then I do like to throw the like the where's it at? I think I got one somewhere. I like this way too now. So you could also, I like the wobble head, whatever, and you could rig all kinds of different soft plastic on this and just drag it along. So like you could try a few different creature baits, like ones that actually have movement or just a dead action, like a sweet beaver, a kinky beaver, and then just drag it slow. Or you could do, it'd be harder to do, the head wouldn't move as much, but a lot of guys talked about Yamamoto now has that. Basically, it's a chompers. It's got the hula thing and the tails, which chompers, I may be the first ones that had those. I used to throw those a lot just with Texas rigged. But I like to nowadays try to rig something on everything without having to have the separate Texas style bullet weights and the EWG style hooks. I like to have it on something, whether it be a rugby jig like this, a broken head thing, or just go straight away to some sort of swim jig, or just dragging these finesse ball head type jigs around. I found that where's I don't even know where I got that at. Color is all going to depend on what your water's looking like. Typically, water clears up as it gets colder. If it gets ice on it, everything slows down. So whether you got fish rooting down in the mud, making it muddy, the wind blowing into banks, making it muddy, usually that all kind of simmers down. Water gets, I guess, more not stable, but it gets less agitated. So typically, almost all your water places will get clearer than they usually have been. So you may want to, even though if you think it's like, it's still a little, it's stained or whatever, but if it's clearer than it usually is in the summer, you may want to go to a lighter, more natural color sometimes. But if that's not working, go the opposite way. Try the most brightest, loud, obnoxious color, but then just in a slow presentation kind of thing. Does that make sense? The zinker, you could throw this, like I throw it on this head, but you could use a wacky hook or whatever. Like if you guys see this bends pretty easy. Like it's not so you're going to want to use a medium or lighter to set the hook. Now I can throw this on my rods with 15-pound test, but I've got the drag loose enough to where this hook will not straighten out before that drag goes. So anyway, the 610 medium X Pride, I wouldn't have a problem throwing it. It's not my preferred rod, but like I could throw it on my blade, but it's going to be overkill. Which I've talked about it. The Feeling, which is considered a light rod, 6'8" light. That's my favorite thing. The Tatula rod I used to have had a solid tip, but it was, I believe, rated at a medium. That's one of my favorite things. But even all the way down to the light Teton, if you guys remember, more of a parabolic, I had no issues setting hooks on that. That's a pretty, I'll try to show you guys. So here's even a finesse. Where's one? Hang on, let me get one that you can kind of make out. That's actually a finesse I don't know if you can make out how much thinner this is than even a finesse, how much thinner the wire is. It doesn't take a lot on this shaky head anyway. The finesse rugby jig, it's not, it's thicker than like some of these, let's try to show you. Like there is a stout. That baby needs medium heavy. You know, I'm not saying you couldn't stick something with that on a medium if you gave it the yank, but that really needs a medium heavy. This easily goes to a light. A medium will do it, but a light will even do it. Pretty much, I really consider these, even though they look kind of big, anything you would want to throw the Ned rig with, drop shot, that kind of stuff is what same basic thing, really. All those, I don't know what they call the diameter, but they're like a, what would it be, a 2/0 or smaller hook, but 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, 5/0 kind of can be deceptive because like here was it's destroyed now, but here was actually considered a finesse jig. I don't remember. I got this from Matt, but so it's definitely would be a lighter, but it's way thicker. Whoa. Like it's still finesse jig, but it's still pretty much a medium heavy kind of thing, you know. It's would probably be all right with like the 610 X Pride. This by far is way thinner and lighter for that. So anyway, hopefully that sort of answered that question. I'm kind of up in there on a lot of times you want, like, especially once you get to the bottom, you may want something with a faster tip for the hook set kind of thing. But I don't know. Like the 610, for sure that Poison Adrena, like the Poison Adrena, anything bigger than that, like this is, and I think I picked these up for that reason. These are just a little bit thicker than that, but so I could rig up other soft plastics with basically I could rig this up weightless, and I was looking for hooks that were roughly the same size as the VMC. It's almost the same size, but it's a hair thicker, so that would be like X Pride material. Probably not I don't know. I've caught fish throwing that Whopper Plopper 110 on the Cunning Teton Light. Super sharp hook, catches them right in the mouth. It's sticking in them no matter what. What's the coldest I ever caught him in? Are you wasting your time? No. If the water temp, now if it's gonna, depending, if you're saying the water temp, what'd you say? Let me reread this. The water temp's 42. No, I've caught them in colder than that. Like, I can't remember. If you go back and do this, scroll up on my videos. The first two videos are basically the same trip in the summer, catching a huge carp on BFS gear on accident. I was actually using the shaky head, but at that time it was, I don't know if I have one of those shaky heads. I think it was the Bagley round ball head shaky head jig, and I snagged it in the tail. But the next video was me actually out fishing to where I was using my boat to break the top surface of the ice. So I don't know, I can't remember the water temps. I may say it in that video. But the whole top of that, it was at a pond. The whole top of the pond down at Holiday Lakes was covered in a thin layer that I had to run my trolling motor on a certain, and like you could hear it crunching, and I tore out a path. And then I came back and I kind of got warmed back up. It wasn't even a half hour, and I went back out and started fishing, and I believe it was on a shaky head. Don't quote me 100%. It's been a long time, but I think I threw the pink, if you guys know what I'm talking about, the Morning Wood pink one, and I caught like 4+ plus pound bass. Now, there's only one fish I caught, but if I wouldn't have went out and broke that ice up to just give me a spot to go out and fish, and it was the same thing. It was like right where the point comes out, like the only point in that pond, and it's like a steep bank and it drops out quick, and right at the end of that point down roughly the deepest part is where he was sitting. There was some brush. Like there was a time when I had that little, even though it was a pond, ponds can be tough. I had that pond like mapped out in my head where the brush was at that time. So anyway, I tore him up that one fish doing it that way. So anyway, stay tuned. I'll be back to talk. Probably I'll do another live stream tomorrow if I go to Rogers and come back and figure out what I did. But we're getting ready to get noisy in here, so stay tuned. Who knows? If I get enough Fireball in me, I might come back tonight with another live. So anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about. I got too much. I don't have enough time. I want to talk about a lot of rods I spotted up at Rogers. The new Hagen, I believe it's called.
Stay tuned, bitch.
Yeah. Go out and get them. See you guys later. Where are you guys?